So we start today's edition with an exciting announcement. Apparently my burgeoning little series has already received its first accolade, its first award, and that is series most likely to be submitted as an emergency application to Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I don't know what they're talking about, but I guess I'll own that. As we've dug into social media a decent amount, I started to see there's a lot of content out there around confidence, around insecurity, around what other people think. A lot of personal empowerment work, and a lot of content is out there supporting that effort. And I thought I'd throw an observation into the mix and hope that it's useful for at least a few people. When I look at the types of messaging that's out there and the type of confidence that they try to build, I think of a couple different ideas I'd like to juxtapose off of each other. So starting with the animal kingdom. In the animal kingdom, there are a lot of the animals are predators and a lot of the animals are prey. And what's distinctive about prey is they essentially live a life on high alert. It's a stressed existence. They're always looking over their shoulder, and they perceive the outside world as a threat and that they're always on guard for, which they should be, because they could get eaten at any moment. Push that against the predators, the lion lounging peacefully in the grass, and you see they're just very different existences because of the perceived threat or the lack of perceived threat. Moving over to some interesting work the military has done in studying PTSD, what they find is that when soldiers come back from conflict, a major determinant as to whether or not they have PTSD or not is how they engaged with the stressful situation, with the action that they saw. And those who were hit by IEDs or were attacked tend to have a much higher ratio of PTSD than those who chose to go into the conflict, who stormed into the building or into the fight. And that's because it activates a different part of your brain. The passive one versus the active one, and it's a sense of control versus a sense of helplessness. Not helplessness is probably too harsh of a word, but a lack of control, we'll say. And so, I think it seems like a lot of people who are doing that personal work, the road they're walking on, the path they're walking down, is that more of, that will lead them to being a more resilient gazelle or a braver wildebeest. But they're still in that prey mindset. They still see the world out there as a dangerous place of, and this is now obviously we're talking emotional danger, not physical danger like you would have in the wild, but they see it as a place that they always have to be on guard for. And, if you're doing that work to get to a place of peace, consider that, are you putting lots of hours into being that braver gazelle, or are you putting the time in to becoming the lion or the lioness who the threat disappears for, who can then exist in a peaceful way because that perceived threat is gone. So for whatever that's worth. As far as the day goes, had a good day. We had Alex Wilkinson in from Invest Tampa Bay. It's a magazine they put out, so I did an interview for that. Had some pretty good content. A gentleman named Max joined us from Miami, the home office, who actually did the research and had some good questions to ask. And we dug into a lot of interesting things. I don't know how much it will actually make the piece, the magazine, but this is what it looks like. That was last year's edition. Apparently had a pretty great party at the Don Cesar to launch it, so probably attend that the next time around. And as usual, Mondays are heavy on meetings, so we did Seed Funders. Saw a presentation from a company in the pharmacy space, the pharmaceutical space. We just exited actually Benebay, which will be an announcement. I think we'll do a piece on the catalyst, but we're actually the first crowdsourced entity, Seed Funders, to have an exit from one of our investments. It was a convertible note that we actually collected the interest on, but technically an exit from our first investment, so that was something to celebrate for sure. And cool people coming in the studio on Tuesday, which I'll update you on Tuesday. But until then, have a wonderful day, and I'll continue to work on my style.